Occupational English Test, Listening Test. This test has two parts. Part A. In this part of the test, you will hear a physiotherapist talking to Kerry, a woman who has a wrist injury. You will hear the consultation once only in sections. As you listen, you must make notes about the consultation under the headings given on the answer paper. Turn over now and look quickly through Part A. You have 1 minute to do this. You must give as much relevant information as you can under each of the headings provided. You may write as you listen, and there will be pauses during the consultation for you to complete your notes under the relevant heading and to read the following heading. There will also be 2 minutes at the end of the test for you to check your answers. Give your answers in note form. Do not waste time writing full sentences. Remember, you will hear the consultation once only, and you should write as you listen. Now look at question 1. Question 1 has been done for you.
Okay, hi Kerry, I'm Mark, I'm a physio.
Hi Mark.
I'll be having a look at your injury today. What's brought you in? We'll start with that.
Well, about 4 months ago, I was diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndrome in my left arm.
Now look at question 2. You will hear a discussion about the history of the injury. First, take notes on details of the present injury, including cause and symptoms.
Well, I'm doing a PhD at the moment,
Okay.
so I was doing my last sort of batch of data analysis. So I was doing
So there's gonna be a lot of typing.
lots of computer work, but to spread the load over my hands, so lots of mouse work with the computer. So I started using my left hand.
I was going to ask you, I was going to say normally it's sort of the right hand.
So I'm right-handed.
Yeah.
But I started using my left hand to kind of take the weight off my right arm, my right hand, and it was only my left hand that
started to develop the symptoms.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, take notes on other details of Kerry's history of injury or pain.
Did you notice anything similar to this over the course of your PhD? Is it something that you sort of actually noticed before, or was this sort of 4 months ago the first time?
The numbness definitely was 4 months ago the first time I ever had that.
Yeah.
I've had kind of RSI type symptoms before when I've been
formally diagnosed before?
No.
So have you ever actually had any sort of trauma to the wrists or fingers or hands? Have you ever actually formally injured those parts?
No, not that. No, haven't even broken a finger or anything. No.
Okay, so that was literally the first sort of incident of wrist. Have you had any complaints or suffered from any neck pain or back pain?
Yep. I certainly had upper back pain, shoulder pain, kind of across my shoulders.
Has that been an ongoing thing?
Yeah, sure.
Have you sort of had any operations or sort of major illnesses I probably should know about?
No.
Now look at question 3. Take notes on further details of the symptoms.
Okay, all right. So as far as this actual diagnosis of carpal tunnel syndrome, we'll sort of go back over that a little bit.
So I woke up and half my hand was really numb. I couldn't feel anything in my thumb or the index finger or the middle finger.
So you're saying, you had some numbness. Pins and needles as well?
No, but when it started to get better, I did have that feeling like when you hit your funny bone, sort of, but going down the back of my hand. So when I got feeling back after about a week of not doing much, a week of rest, I did have that sort of shock going down my hand.
Did you notice any weakness in the hand at the same time, or was it just purely the numbness?
It was more numbness, yeah.
Now look at question 4. Take notes on details of Kerry's pain.
So, I mean, other than you've said stuff like you're typing, dull ache in the wrist, those type of things being when you notice it. Do you notice it with sort of day-to-day other movements, say gripping a pen, doing things like picking things up?
No, but I can feel it even when my hands are in rest.
So you can get it actually at resting. So
there's a dull ache sort of, in my forearms even when I'm just sitting here with them.
I know it's a pretty subjective thing to ask, but we ask it anyway. As far as that ache, you talk about an ache at rest.
Yeah.
0, nothing, 10 out of 10 worst pain you could imagine. What type of level are we talking of ache at rest?
So 10's the worst
10 worst pain you could imagine?
Okay. Probably like a 2 or 3.
Okay. What about at its worst?
At its worst, it's more like a 5 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it actually gets up there a little bit, so it's more than just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Does this pain ever wake you up in the middle of the night?
No.
No. Generally tend to sleep through?
Yes.
Okay.
Now look at question 5. Take notes on details of Kerry's previous visit to the doctor and her current situation.
When you went to the doctor,
did
the doctor send you for any tests?
No. So he mainly talked about using voice recognition software to write the rest of my thesis.
Oh, so as an actual, as a proposed sort of solution. Yeah.
Yeah, and told me to take it easy. So I took a week off and didn't do any computer work for a week, and it did actually get a lot better. And then I got back into the yoga. But I still have, so I don't really suffer from the numbness anymore. So I'm not really here about that numbness, but I still have kind of a dull aching pain through my forearms, and that's kind of with the right as well, but not as much. And I guess what I really want is some sort of ways to maintain that, also, get that better.
Also to actually to manage it all.
Yeah.
Well, I think, look, that's fair enough.
Now look at question 6. Take notes on Kerry's pain management.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, though, so we talked about the things that bother it, or the ache, the irritability, so to speak. Are there sort of particular little routines other than, so you mentioned yoga, is there anything you do that actually makes it feel better? Any sort of little regimen that helps?
I guess stretching my arms out helps a bit.
Can you describe the type of stretch you would do?
Yeah, so if I kind of put my arm out to the side and twist my hand around, and that's a stretch that goes right down my whole arm, and that kind of feels pretty good if I do that a few times.
Okay, so that sort of helps it a little bit. What about, say, a regimen of, have you tried using any heat or ice?
No. No, I haven't.
No. What about medication? Do you ever have to take painkillers for it?
I have at times, but not for a little while.
What have you taken?
Ibuprofen.
You're not taking that at the moment?
No.
Okay. What we'll do, we'll have a bit of a look at it now. So we'll give you sort of a good once-over, have a look at the wrist and a few other things.
Okay.
And we'll see if we can come up with any ideas as to why you're getting this pain.
Okay, sure.
Now look at question 7. Take notes on the physiotherapist's opinion after examination.
Thanks for letting me have a look at the wrist. It looks as though there's definitely some signs of some actual wrist sort of symptoms there.
Yep.
Yeah, especially when we felt that left arm in comparison to the right. Those muscles on the forearm definitely felt a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
Those tests I did where I sort of tapped on your wrist and bent the wrist and made you hold it there.
Yep.
In a really clear-cut, pure case of carpal tunnel syndrome, we'd probably notice that you'd get that tingling, or we'd reproduce some ache or something more specifically.
Right.
We didn't really get that with you.
No.
I mean, this idea of wrist, RSI, repetitive stress, I certainly think that that's pretty valid. I mean, given what you do and what you have been doing.
Yeah.
Now look at question 8. Take notes on the physiotherapist's advice and recommendations.
Yeah, so, I mean, when we looked at things, there's definitely stiffness in your neck, upper back.
Yeah.
So I would think as far as addressing it, do a little bit of work through your wrist.
Right.
But probably more pressing is for you to actually start getting on to a more specific postural regimen. So,
right, okay.
Like you said, as far as wanting to manage this, I'd be thinking more stuff to stretch your upper back,
Okay.
strengthen your
Yep.
back muscles for your posture sitting at your computer, just some little postural drills,
Okay.
release the neck a little bit, that type of thing. And I think if we did that, we'd probably notice that we're actually having a much better effect
Right.
on the symptoms. The fact as well that you've started noticing it in both arms,
Yeah.
it's probably more of a reason to approach it in that way because it's symmetrical.
Yeah.
And you tend to, if you've got a genuine issue in a joint or something like that, it tends to kind of be one side of the body. When we're looking across both sides, we're thinking of something a bit more probably holistic and generalised.
Okay.
So I would think that we probably approach it that way. And whether that be going to local gym, home exercises, Pilates even.
Okay.
All those things would probably help.
Right.
And then maybe a little bit of actual massage of the arm.
Okay.
On the side. How does that sound?
Yeah, no, that sounds really good.
Now look at question 9. Take notes on details of Kerry's yoga class.
Kerry, can you tell me a little bit more about your actual exercise routine? So you're saying you're doing yoga.
Yeah.
How often are you doing it, and what specific things are you doing?
So I do Bikram yoga. So that's the hot yoga. It's in 40-degree heat. But it goes for 90 minutes, which is kind of good, I think. It's quite an intensive form of yoga. And it does a lot of back work. But I guess it's holistic. It does everything, really.
What, and it's hard to go through all of it, but what are some of the type of stretches they make you do? Do they focus on the whole body, or mainly sort of one part a session, or?
No, it's the whole body, and it's actually exactly the same series of postures every single time. So there's a lot of kind of back bending and stretching out, like lying on the floor on your stomach and holding onto your legs and kicking up with your legs and that sort of thing. There's a third of it's like a standing series, and there's a lot of standing kind of stretching your spine up and standing with your arms, your hands above your head with your elbows straight with a pistol grip. Lots of that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So it's quite good for back and shoulders, I think.
But other than that, are there any specifics for, say, the neck or the shoulder blades, that type of upper part of your back?
Maybe not so much the neck, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, because the yoga is quite useful, but there might be a few other things we can target, via some different exercises and specific stretches.
Yeah, okay.
Now look at question 10. Take notes on the explanation of suggested treatment approach.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm going with this idea of wanting you to do more strength work.
Okay.
Because if we actually, say, increase the fatigability of your muscles, the endurance, the strength, you might not feel you want to stretch so much all the time because you don't feel tight anymore.
Okay.
So it actually brings this idea of actually, improving the holding time of your upper back muscles, so you don't start to sort of round those shoulders while you're at the computer. The deep neck muscles. So actually doing a little regimen of strengthening those tiny, tiny ones that are up against the neck bones.
Okay.
Sort of hold your head on your neck a little bit better.
So what kind of exercises could I do to get
what I'm thinking, in the long term, I think you almost want to start to look at, and not necessarily a formal regimen, but almost a Pilates approach to complement your yoga. We don't have to stop your yoga, but I want to do more of that muscular control, movement therapy as well.
Right.
As far as you, say, going home with something today, what could be a good idea is to start, even we just practice sitting up tall and just sort of gently bringing the shoulder blades back.
Okay.
Holding them for 10 seconds, relaxing, doing that throughout the day.
Yeah.
And then from there, depending on how things are going, we start to look at, a more formal program.
Okay.
And I think really, without calling it Pilates, more of a strength-based approach. So we can use some light weights or rubber bands or anything that we can actually start putting a bit of tension into your muscles, rather than just purely focusing on one end of the spectrum, which is stretching.
Okay.
Now look at question 11. You will hear a discussion about Kerry's workstation. First, take notes on the current setup of Kerry's workstation.
Kerry, you were saying with your study, do you tend to do most of your work from home or from an office at uni?
An office at uni.
Okay, so you spend a fair bit of your time in there.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your workstation setup? I mean, would you think it's quite good? Has someone actually looked at it for you?
No one's come around and looked at it. It's a corner desk with my computer in the corner. The chair's kind of a standard office chair, which I think is okay, and it's set up for my height and stuff.
Is the chair adjustable from different angles? I mean, can you move the back of the chair, the seat, the height?
Yep, all those things.
Has it got armrests or not?
No.
Now, take notes on the physiotherapist's suggestions for improvement.
As I said, to go over it again, someone in your scenario, spending ages at the computer, really should have that set up as efficient as possible so that it can actually help with some of these processes we talk about of good posture. So that might include a seat with actual armrests so that you can have that, hands and wrists sitting on the chair a little bit, not having to hold them up.
Okay.
A footrest, so you can rest your feet on. Something to lift the monitor a bit so that your eyes are staring at the top of the monitor.
Yeah.
We tend to work off sort of 90-degree angles. So if you kind of got your forearms and shoulders at a 90-degree angle, your hips and knees at a 90-degree angle, ankles, tends to be an efficient sitting posture, we call it. So things like that might be worthwhile.
Okay, yeah.
Investigating a little more.
What about those wrist rests that you can kind of get?
Also a good idea.
Are they helpful? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're not a bad idea either because, again, they just sort of tend to take a little bit of that pressure off the wrist joint so that it's in a different position.
Okay.
So, little things like that, and whether you want to go as full-on and as formal as a proper assessment, because the uni does do that, I just think about those sort of things. I know today's probably been a fair bit of information overload.
Yeah.
And we've talked about a lot of things and a lot of ideas. But have you got any questions?
No, not really. Just, I guess, where to take it.
Start doing some of those little exercises.
Yep.
We'll have a talk. We'll catch up, say, in a week or so.
Okay.
Does that sound all right?
Yeah, no, that sounds really
cool.
good.
Nice to meet you today, and we'll catch up next week.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. See ya.
Bye.
That is the end of Part A.